What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bucco Territory, presented to you by the Foul Territory Network. I'm Noah Hiles. Joining me, as always, are my co-hosts Platinum Key, aka Mark, and Josh Harrison. It's Wednesday, August 12th. The Pirates began a three-game series in Miami Tuesday evening. We are recording this Tuesday afternoon, so we don't know what happened. Regardless of what happened, even if they won or lost, it's not really changing much about where they are right now. It comes down to winning series for them. They are in a position now where essentially to make the playoffs, and we kind of said this on last show's episode, they're going to have to win pretty much every series they play. And if you don't win a series, if you win one and lose two, then you're going to have to sweep the next one. You're going to have to win about 2/3 of your games to really feel secure to get into the postseason. That's going to be a tough thing to do for this team. So we're going to talk about talk more about the state of where they are, how they're in the midst of yet another collapse, and kind of keep hammering that point home, because that's what we're witnessing right now. Again, even if they won Tuesday night, that's still kind of what's happening until it's not. We're going to talk about Oneil Cruz. He should be back sometime this week, maybe this weekend. Pirates fans should hope to see him back this weekend. What kind of impact he can have, and then we will wrap it up by talking about the month of September, which is still a couple of weeks away. But if this continues to go the way it's going, what do the Pirates do? And how do they go about September? Do they keep fighting, or do they wave the white flag? So, guys, we'll start now with just this. I wrote a column that ran Monday. It got a lot of attention. It's just late season collapses are what the Pirates do best. We talked about this a little on the show, on Monday's show, how I kind of brought it up to Josh. Like, it kind of feels like 11 and 12 and 16 through 18. And Mark, obviously, you were a diehard fan by the 2024 season, and
Yep.
you know what that felt like. And it feels like this is happening once again. It's a little different because this team on paper was much easier to believe in than the 2024 team.
Oh, yeah.
2018 was a little unique because that was the season after they traded away Garrett Cole and Kutch. So it felt like there was a nucleus of guys that were trying and that you could believe in themselves, but it felt like the organization didn't really believe in the team really from the very beginning until it did, and then it tried to overcompensate by making one really aggressive trade, and it didn't go well. 16 and 17, there was the belief, but it maybe was a wrong belief. Like, they got too high on their own supply and probably set your teams up to be in a position that wasn't as advantageous as it could have been. But this year, I mean, it was optimistic. They made some really good roster additions. And if entering the year, if I would have told you that this was the offensive production that this lineup would have received, you would have never guessed that the pitching would have been this bad and kind of caused them to fall apart. We would have expected the defensive woes. I think maybe we would have expected the bullpen to be worse than it was last year, but I don't think we would have expected to see the rotation reduced into what it's become, and the bullpen to be that bad, and just for it to kind of fall apart like it has in the final week of July now 7 times in the last 16 years, something like that.
Yep.
So Mark, I'll just start with you as a fan. Like, is it like, it's got to be just hard to believe that it's happening again, right? Just that because it can go so quickly. It can just vanish away. Just like you look at the Red Sox, it's been the inverse for them. Like, their season was over and then it sparks, but it's just hard to believe that both things can happen at the same time, that you can fall apart and then catch magic. So, I mean, are you feeling any better now after an off day, or is it just really kind of sinking in that, like, hey, this is the reality now?
Yeah, it's more the latter. It's definitely like just sinking in that, this season has just gone off the rails yet again. I mean, the fact that they lost nearly 40% of their playoff odds in 15 days that's a punch to the gut. So as a fan, you're trying to still, there's still a chance they could still string together some wins. It's baseball. Things can happen quickly both ways, like you said. But at the same time, the bats have fallen off. The pitching's falling off. All of a sudden, the bullpen is like maybe what I'm most confident in. It's a weird feeling. Like, we traded for Luke Weaver, and he's appeared in one game now.
They had to use him.
Yeah, they had he literally just hasn't been. They haven't been able to use him, and so it's so frustrating because there was so much talent. There is so much talent on this team. They have, I think, like the sixth most WAR, like F WAR in baseball. They have more F WAR than the Cubs, but we're below 500 and not even in like a wild card spot right now. So who cares about how much talent there is? They just haven't been able to piece it together. And so that's been the most frustrating part. Is on paper you'd think with this kind of offense they should be competing for a playoff spot in the thick of it. And so the fact that yet again, it's just like, is this franchise cursed? Like, was PNC Park built on like Indian burial grounds or something? Like, it just, how can this keep happening? Things have to break for the Pirates in our favor at one point, right? Like one of these years, things have to click. And you thought this year may have been that year with how much talent. I mean, there's still more talent on this roster than there's been in a long time. So things are bleak. Need a big series against the Marlins. Otherwise, it's there's not a lot of people that are going to be hanging in there.
Yeah. Josh, I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you speak on talent. Talent is one thing, and coming to this, the beginning of the season, offense was addressed. From the previous year, offense was pretty much non-existent, and we knew coming into the season defense was going to be a challenge, but was hoping that offense was going to be able to outweigh that with pitching. But what you've gotten is, the pitching has been inconsistent, both starting and relieving. So when the offense has, kind of hit its dry spell, it just hasn't looked like a good brand of baseball. And here it was early part of the season, offense was clicking, pitching was, doing what it could to stay in the game, and, the bullpen wasn't clicking. So at some point, it's like you need all three phases, to work together. And unfortunately, you just haven't had that this year. And you don't want to be in a position, you look at, how many games that they've lost that they could have potentially won. Yes, you sit here and say, man, for me, it is reminiscent of some of those 11 and 12 years when we were, in a position, late July, early August, and then, things happen really quickly. And when you have teams like this, unfortunately, you go through spells like this where some teams just need to learn how to win. But
Yeah.
I think some of these games that they needed to learn to win were not necessarily them needing to learn to win. It was them needing to learn how to control, the moment of the game and not, make those mental mistakes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll have that when you have some inconsistencies where you got guys playing out of position, you got some injuries. But at this point of the season, those can't really be excuses. And unfortunately, as I said, they just haven't pitched well. They haven't played defense well, and they haven't hit well, especially in these moments where it really matters, where every game matters. But when you're down to the last 6 weeks, there's no more room for error, I should say. So
and
that's where they are.
That's the point that I was going to make. It's just like, and that is just the reality of this organization. The way that they've performed in the past and the way that they've behaved in the past when it came to operating in the offseason and just the decisions they've made, they've given themselves very little wiggle room.
Yep.
They've made it harder for themselves to acquire talent in recent years. And now this is the first year where they've behaved with a true competitor's mindset. And you could even argue that that's a stretch. Like their payroll still it just isn't high enough to where a team in that market size that's actually serious about winning can get there. Now, if you want to spend more money and build it up and then reduce it once you're confident that your analytics department can continue developing these young studs and live a little bit below the budget, like we've seen Cleveland do that. We've seen Tampa do that. Like the A's did that for so long. Hell, the Pirates tried to do that when Josh was there, right? They built it up and then they thought they had it all figured out and we can moneyball this. And then it turns out, sometimes you're right. Sometimes you do have the game figured out and you have your formula right and you could stay ahead of the curve, but that's not always a guarantee. And the Pirates for a very long time, it really comes back to what they did after the 2024 season. The fact that they did not add anything to that team. The 2024 season should have been their 2011.
Yeah.
It should have been their first little taste. You had your young core up there. Like they were a little competitive in 23, but by July they were out of it. 2024 was their first year they bought at the deadline, but they ran out of gas. But they had their formula. It was that rotation, and that rotation was so cheap. And they could have made a Lau trade then. They could have made No Hearn signing then. And they did nothing. They just bet on these guys to get better. And that was a wasted year. And now that wasted year kills this team because you don't know if you're going to have Ryan O'Hearn next year. You don't know if there's going to be baseball next year. You don't know if there's going to be something to build from next year. And if you had just taken last year a little bit more seriously, and I'm not saying that to the front office did what they could, but the only reason these investments and these more aggressive trades at the deadline and even in the offseason happened was because 2025 was an embarrassment. And it shouldn't have taken an embarrassment for a franchise to get off its ass and do a little bit more, to be humiliated by off-field gaffes, PR mistakes on the field, having to fire their manager that early, having so many just embarrassing headline after embarrassing headline, getting absolutely embarrassed in press conferences at the end of the season. It shouldn't have taken all of those things, plus potentially a lockout on the horizon and some incentive from the commissioner's office that go a little further for you to want it a little bit more. And yeah, when you try, your odds are better, but it just goes to show everyone else is trying as hard as the Pirates tried this year. And they've been trying, not everyone, but the teams that you're competing with, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, they've all been trying like this for years. And some of them already inherently have more resources than you. So you're going to have to expect that it's maybe not going to work the first time you do this. And that's dejecting because I still think there is a bright future here. I mean, you look like the pitching's going nowhere. Connor Griffin's going to be here. There are good prospects on the horizon, but you're really only losing Lau. But who's to say they're going to match that level of investment again?
Right.
That's what's dejecting. It's, well, they went all in and the attendance only went up so much. Like, who knows? And they've just given themselves such a small margin of error. And when you have that small margin of error and something goes wrong, there's nothing you can do to fix it. And too much went wrong for them this year. And that's been the case in prior collapses too. They did not have a large margin of error in 2024, or even, I think, the first couple collapses during Josh's time, 11 and 12, they were building up to something. And then they built up to 13 through 15. But then after that, it's like, they stopped building. And they were just cool with trying to get some lucky breaks and sneak in the wild card because they felt they had that foundation that was good enough. And where this case, they still haven't built it yet. And they're building forward, but you can't just expect it to all work out. And that's kind of the story of this year's team. So unless you guys have anything to add real quick, I think we're good on this.
Yep. Good.
All right. Good. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Oneil Cruz will be joining the team sometime this week, probably. We're going to talk about what he can do to help the Pirates next year on Bucco Territory.
Science experiment for the 1 minute we have to tell you about why we love Quint's electrolytes, including watermelon salt, raspberry salt, and I'm holding a citrus salt. Just opened it. I'm going to pour some powder into my water, shake it up. And AJ, why do you love it?
I love Quince because after a long night out, a long day at the gym, a long walk in this Florida humidity, it tastes great and it gives me all the electrolytes I need. Why? Sugar-free, stevia-free, keto-approved, and tastes sweet because of that delicious fermented rice.
It does taste really good. I'm drinking it right now while we talking about it. It's also made in the USA, rigorously third-party tested. Give your body what it really needs to stay hydrated. Go to quince.com/foul for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/FOUL for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/foul. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Oh, sorry, I was taking a drink out of my water bottle. I thought there was a little bit more from our pal Scott Braun there. All right, Oneil Cruz, he'll be back sometime this week. The Pirates could use some offense. They could just use any help anywhere. We've seen
A
Spencer
boost.
kind of struggle. Yeah, we've seen Spencer kind of struggle a little bit since coming back because that is tough. Josh, you've probably been in that spot where the boys are scuffling without you. You want to get back. You know you need to get back. Can you just speak to how difficult that is to, have that weighing on you? You see your team struggling. You know you're a better team when you're out there, but you need to get out there when you're physically able to help. Talk about
Oh,
that
it's
internal dilemma.
unfortunately I dealt with that one too many times, and it's a internal struggle. Because one, you want to get back and help your team, but two, you want to make sure you're healthy and good to go. But at the same time, being a competitor, I know myself. I was never 100% when I came back, and I'm sure most people are probably closer to 100. Some people are going to come back when they feel they're good to go. Everybody's pain tolerance is different, and knowing their bodies, and there's a difference being injured and being hurt. And you want to check a lot of different boxes when you're doing these rehab games and you're working your way back, because there are going to be things a lot of people on the outside don't really think about, and it's more than just getting at bats and running bases, especially on the defensive side. I can remember a couple cases where I tore my UCL ligament in my thumb, and then I broke my hand twice. So it was more than just base running and hitting. I had to, make the catch and make tags, impact other ways that, affect, a hand injury. So in O'Neill's case, he plays the outfield, but at the same time, there's differences where, impact of the ball on certain hard hit balls, running to the wall, maybe having to brace yourself. There's more ways than just swinging a bat and being on the bases. And you want to check these boxes. And I know at one point I had came back from, I think, a broken hand. The boys were struggling a little bit. And I remember coming back after like 3 rehab games from like, I think I was slated 6 to 8 weeks on a broken hand. I think by week 5, I was back. Like, you know what? The doctor said it's not going to break again. It's past that point of being able to be broken. And I'm like, as long as I can wear a protective hand thing now, you know, put me in there. And I remember coming back, getting 2 hits the first game, and gave the team a little boost. And I still needed to catch up to the speed of the MLB game. I was out 5 weeks, but at the same time, sometimes when you're getting one of your pieces back, them at 80, 85%, is better than what the
Right.
team has been throwing out there. And that's no knock to the young guys, but that's just, a piece that you were counting on, just the physical presence of them being in there. That's somebody that the other team is like, okay, we know what this guy can do. And if he's back, we know there's something in there that could still potentially be, a lifting moment for this team, and you don't want them to get hot. So I know he's trying to cross every box to make sure when he gets back that, he can play the last 6 weeks and hopefully, help this team. And especially at this time, because my first
Yeah.
time coming back was 15, and we had actually acquired a Ramos Ramirez. So that actually
Yep.
helped, but, you know, I came back from a thumb surgery within week 5 or 6, and, it took a full year but I was like, you know what, if I can put the bat on the ball and I can, play through the pain, I'm out there. And I mean, we went to the wild card, unfortunately lost, but there was
Yeah.
something to play for. And if you can be 80, 85%, because once everybody leaves spring training, nobody's ever 100% anyway. So
Yeah.
when people say you got to be 100%, that's not going to happen. You play too many games, you change too many cities. So once you get to that point to where you've crossed off those minor details that kind of get overlooked, like impact with the wall and stuff, I think he's going to be like, all right, I'm good to go. And whatever I get, and the speed of the game, you're going to have more adrenaline in the big leagues too.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that helps as well.
Yeah. Mark, I mean, what are you looking to see from Oneil Cruz when he comes back?
Yeah, I mean, just this team needs help against lefties. O'Neil was finally really hitting lefties well. So that kind of impact, but also just what he brings to the base paths. He is just going to cause chaos. We need that speed right now. If we want to get this offense going, maybe small ball is the best way to start getting things back going, get people in a rhythm again. And so having Oneil Cruz on the base pass to play that small ball, get him a couple steals, go first to third, whatever you need from him. That's what I'm looking forward to, getting him back. We'll see about like where they play him. I'm curious if he's going to like resume center field, how much they're going to play Mangum, if they want to DH him when he gets back. So I'm curious to see how they get him into the lineup, but I'm very excited to have him back because boy, does this offense need a big shot in the arm, like a 6'7" size shot, and I think Oneil Cruz can deliver that.
Yeah, they just need to lengthen that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I was gonna say whether he's DHing, wherever you put him, as you mentioned, Spencer came back struggling a little bit. As you continue to piece the lineup and put pieces back in, it can take a little bit of pressure off. Even though he's missed some games, as you mentioned, he was swinging it against lefties, and you hope he, gets back to that form. But just being able to slide one of your pieces back in can kind of maybe give the guys a little room to say, all right, let's take a deep breath, and now we got another guy back, and hopefully that, as you said, lengthen the lineup a little bit more.
Yeah, you depended too much on Esmeralyn Valdez, Ronnie Simon, and Jared Triolo. Like it helps to get Spencer and Oneil back, and even if they're not what they are, they're a much tougher out compared to everyone else, and it's just I think it'll help. So, yep. All right, we're going to take another quick break. Then we will round out our show today talking about the month of September here on Bucco Territory.
This is that time of year, AJ. It is baseball's time to shine. And it is SeatGeek's time to shine with MLB tickets and finding the best pricing, seating, and games that are even sold out available on SeatGeek.
Absolutely. If you want to go to the biggest matchups coming up, we have Yankees-Cubs coming up. There's Yankees-Red Sox. It means stuff again. There's some big moments that are coming up here, and as the pennant chases really heat up, go to SeatGeek and find those green tickets with the best deals and get yourself out to an MLB game.
Yeah, and they're straightforward with you. They will actually put a red dot next to a ticket that they don't feel is your best look. Green dot means very good. Code for you. It's Territory 10. 10% off your next set of MLB tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off MLB tickets when you use the promo code Territory10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later.
All right, let's call a spade a spade. The Pirates are playing the Marlins this week. After that, they have the Red Sox. They get a little bit of a break against the Tigers, maybe, although they struggle against bad teams too right now. Then you get the Dodgers and the Padres and the Cardinals on the road to end the month of August. That is a brutal stretch.
Yeah.
Especially for a team that has not won a series since their first series post All-Star break. It's been about a month.
Yep.
Not trying to be doom and gloom here, but let's call it like it is. It's probably not going to go well. It would be very easy to believe it doesn't go well. Assuming it does go poorly, when you get to the month of September, I'm just going to throw out some names and ask you guys, what do you do with these people when you get to the month of September? We'll start off with Connor Griffin. Connor Griffin, if he's healthy, do you bother playing him at all in the final month of the season? Josh, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, he's so young, 20 years old. If there's nothing to play for, just from personal experience, I've had 3 hand injuries, 2 broken hands, screw in my thumb, and worked my way back, obviously, in the middle of the season, sometimes towards later in the season. But if it's not worth it, hand injuries can be tricky. As I said, there's so many things that go into it, and obviously you want your young superstar that you hope to be the face of the franchise to come back and show just what he can do, especially in the last month. But at the same time, it's got to make sense. I'm not a big fan of putting people out there, if they're not, fully ready to go, where there could be more injury. And yes, you want to see Connor Griffin play, because he can give this team, as you say, Mark, a shot in the arm and help these guys. But if things aren't going well, what do you really run? What's the point?
Right.
And I say that because I don't know if you've all watched the series Quarterback on Netflix, and I
Jaden
remember
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. That was going to be my,
Yep.
you know what I
I
mean?
watched
And
that episode last night.
yes. So the score was out of hand. He was coming back, and it's like we're competitors. We're always going to want to play. As I said myself, coming back well ahead of what the slated time to be out is, but at the same time, you got to weigh the risk versus reward. And if there's not really a chance for playoffs, there are other ways you can have him still be around the team, and they have all these options that you can still make sure he's getting his work in, but without the stress of having to go out here and running the risk of, you know what, let's go into next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there is a next year healthy, and not trying to say we want to fulfill making sure you're on your feet and playing these games because, as I said, hand injuries are tricky.
And just to build off that real quick, Josh, I mean, I think it's also worth remembering this guy had a forearm injury as well this year.
Yep.
Yes,
So,
that too.
right? Like it might not be the worst idea to just let him get some rest.
Yeah.
If there were a way to like maybe just let him hit, but it's still just like if you get hit in the hand with a pitch in September, what are we talking about? Like what are you doing out there to begin with?
Right.
And it sucks because there is tangible value, I think, in just getting him more major league playing time.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure,
but
there is.
You have to really weigh that cost and effect, and it's like he's already been injured twice this year.
Yeah.
Are you going to risk a third one that could make you really in a tough spot next year? I don't know. Mark,
And I'll tell you,
throw you
when they know you
go
have
ahead.
hand injuries, I was just gonna say when they know you have hand injuries, scouting report attack
throw
the
you up and
hands.
in.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I'll ask you the same question, Mark, for Paul Skeens. What's his September look like if they are 10 games out of the wild card?
Yeah, I mean, and the way that, assuming that he's going to continue pitching where you can tell he's clearly struggling, something doesn't seem right. I mean, if there's nothing left to play for, I would fully support shutting him down and saying, we tried this year. Let's get a jump start on figuring out what went wrong and how to improve for 2027. Because I don't think he's going to be able to make those necessary adjustments while he's still pitching in the middle of a season. So the sooner that you can shut him down, the sooner you can hopefully get him right. Maybe I look like an idiot saying this. Maybe he came out against the Marlins and threw 7 shutty innings and looked great, efficient again. But the way he's been pitching, I feel like that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, I think he's your second most important asset. You first is Connor Griffin. You absolutely have to protect Connor Griffin if there's nothing to play for. And same thing with Paul. I mean, yeah, it's tough to shut him down. It does not great optics. I'm sure he won't want to get shut down. But if it leads to him getting back to Cy Young form in 2027, I'm all for it.
I would probably go a little lesser. I think I would go to a 6-man rotation in September since you have that extra roster spot and just basically map it out. And like I would be calling up Harrington, Bart, really anyone stretched out that can give me at least 3 ups. Mm-hmm. And I would sit down with everyone and be like, pretty much every game is going to be a bullpen game from here on out. We're just going to focus on getting guys reps. Like we're going to have, unless if you're pitching in the back third of a game, we're really going to try to map it out where you know what your work day is. And it's going to be like spring training in a way where
makes sense.
We're going to get you through this season. We're going to give you very specific things that we want you to work on. And if those things don't go well, then that's okay. Mm-hmm. That might be a tough sell because certain guys might be fighting for better numbers for arbitration, for incentive. But that's at least the plan that I would pitch is just kind of like, hey, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. We need to ease you into this off season, and we don't want you to make anything worse in this final month.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's a realistic, or that's a reasonable ask, I should say. And then my last one.
I think you only shut them down. I was going to say, I think you only shut them down if like something's hurt.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, to your point, Noah, like if nothing's hurt yet, just limit him. If it's like, hey, you're going to be on a 50 pitch count, whatever pitches. The case may be, like you say, or 80, whatever, because you still want him to try to work through these struggles if nothing's hurting. But like if you know what I mean, so I was gonna say I don't think it's worth shutting him down unless something's hurt. All
right, my final question here, and this can be for all of us. if it's over by September, are you opposed to seeing someone lose their job before the season ends? If it's Charrington, if it's Kelly, if it's Travis Williams, just considering that come December 1st, there's going to be a lockout. I don't know if that prevents coaching hires. I don't know if coaches can get hired during lockouts or not. I would assume no, because it's between the MLP, BPA, and the league. So I would think coaches should be fine.
I think
but
so.
It's very hard to sign up for a job.
I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I feel like when we had the situation, the previous lockout,
21.
I want to say, I know for instance, there's no conversation between players and agents and teams, but I feel like organizational hires can still happen as far as
that would make sense.
Staff and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, with that said, you don't know what your budget's going to look like.
Right.
Because of the CBA. You don't know if you're going to be paying for a salary floor. You don't know if you're going to have more
attendance revenue next year. Yeah,
attendance revenue or share, like the market share, like all that kind of stuff is all in flux. And so that makes it very hard to sign up for a job when you're a GM, when you don't know what your payroll budget's going to be. If you're a new manager, you don't know what your supporting staff, what resources are even at your disposal. Right. And if it's a team like the Dodgers or the Yankees, it's like, okay, well, like I know what I'm getting into.
We're going to be good.
But in a place like Pittsburgh, that's all very circumstantial, and it could drastically change depending on how the CBA goes.
Yeah.
So that's a tough spot to fill. And do you try to get a head start on it? I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it, candidly. Like if the Pirates enter September and they know Travis Williams, Ben Charrington, Don Kelly, or really anyone involved, if they know they're not going to be back, and the same thing could be said for players at this point too.
Right.
They're done. If you know someone's not going to be back on your team as a player, they shouldn't be playing for you in September of 2026. And that's a harsh reality, but like don't wait till the final week of the season and DFA them like Rowdy Tellez's situation a couple years ago. But like just sit them down and be like, hey man, we're planning for the future. It is what it is. We could try to get you some at-bats if you're close to some incentives, but like we need those reps to go to this guy because he's probably going to be playing in your spot next year. Or those innings to go to this guy, like Gregory Soto, for example.
Yeah.
Would be a guy. It's like, you don't need these innings. We're going to let someone else get better with those opportunities. But then like coaching and like if they know, if Nutting is confident that he's letting Charrington go at the end of this season, which I've heard nothing to suggest that one way or the other. But if they get to September 1st and Nutting knows that he's firing Ben at the end of the season, then he should just fire him in September and start the search now.
Yep.
That's how it should go. Like what good does it do keeping him around for another month? I guess theoretically they could get hot, but if you're firing him, that means like you're really dead.
Exactly.
So that's my thoughts on it. You guys have anything to add?
No, I think it's that time. You say period, full stop, that your goal is to make the postseason and you don't accomplish that goal, you need to be held accountable. So that's it's a pretty quick thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, things that happen in the game on both player side and, front office side. Me personally, I've never been in a situation where it's happened mid-season. My managerial changes have happened due to, health reasons or whatever. But at the same time, it happens yearly, whether it's a GM, whether it's a manager, interim managers. When owners and stuff feel that the time is right, that's ultimately their decision. And as you said, if he's thinking that and things don't go the right way, I mean, some places are like, you know what, let's get ahead of it. And, with the uncertainty, it's one of those things, you darn if you do, you darn if you don't. Like, it's just what they need to do is play better baseball. But that, as you said, it's going to be tough. But, yeah, September's going to be interesting.
What's also interesting is this podcast. And you can subscribe to it and have access at your fingertips. Thousands of people have done it already. We're trying to get it to more. 3,000 subs is the goal. We need your help to get there. And while you're at it, stop by our team store, Bucco Territory Team Shop. Got a lot of good stuff there as well. You can support the show. Fellas, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, not me. I got
Look
you
at
beat,
this,
Jay.
look at this. I've just got an Argentina shirt
Yeah.
on. All right. Well, for Platinum Key, aka Mark and Josh Harrison, I'm Noah Hiles signing off, saying thanks for tuning in to another episode of Bucco Territory presented to you by the Foul Territory Network. Take care.
If you've made it this far, you'll love this next video. Check it out right here and make sure you subscribe to Bucco Territory for more Pirates coverage like this multiple times a week.